with religious leaders who wanted to talk to us, and equally we have had a session with some of the diplomatic leaders here, specifically the American ambassador and the British High Commissioner. And we were talking specifically on issues about the process and what has not been done, and a few things have come out. One, the tallying process, our team here, which has been working tirelessly for several days, have found a lot of anomalies in what is coming from the field and what has been posted on the board. We have also noticed that there are some results that are coming from non-gazetted polling stations, and these have been made clear to the IEDC, and we have specifically pointed out the areas that we have seen as a sample of non-gazetted polling stations, yet results are coming from those polling stations. We have also noted that so far only 29,000 of the Form 34s have actually been seen or received by the IEDC, and there's a process of verification going through. So that means there are still 11,000, close to 11,000 Form 34As out there that have not reached the tally, the bombers of Kenya. Now, all these, including what they say they have received as Form 34B, that is for the constituencies. Again, out of those, they have received them, but the verification teams have not completed the exercise of verifying those documents. Now, all along, we have pointed out to the IEDC that when they communicate, they've been giving the impression that that process has been concluded, when in reality, there's still quite a lot of work to be done. So our message here very clearly is going to be twofold. One, they should not rush to make a declaration until the due process has been completed to the satisfaction of all parties. That is absolutely essential so that everybody will feel that they have had the opportunity to cross-check and verify the documentation that is necessary for them to conclusively make a declaration. That is absolutely essential. The other thing that I would want to point out very quickly is that when we made our statement yesterday, we made it knowing very well that the person or the entity that declares an election is the IEDC. So we have not declared anybody, as it were. This has got to be, we were stating facts as we had gotten them, but we did not make a declaration. So this, again, has been made very clear, and we want this to come out very clearly to the public. Now, the point, there are two critical points I would like to leave Honorable Senator Orengo to touch on those specific areas.
Yeah, I plead for some patience because what we're going through is quite a lot and needs a hearing and needs accurate reporting, because sometimes we talk to you and what comes out of the media is not quite what communicated. Right at the outset, I want to tell you that the first question that was brought to the notice of the chairman of the commission when we met him, together with two other commissioners, was the news alert that the commission was preparing to give an announcement of the result of the presidential elections, and more specifically to declare the winner. And he said that he is not aware, the commission has not given out any such alert that there was going to be an announcement or a declaration, and that they had not completed the work that they're doing. So I think this should be well understood because those who are purveying this kind of information without confirming with the Commission or without finding out from the candidates or the stakeholders whether there has been such an invitation for a declaration to be made are putting the country in a state of tension unnecessarily. And at the end of the day, they said they're going back to go back to their teams, technical teams which are working with their teams, to look at what is coming out from the field. The long and short of it, according to what the commissioners have told us, that they have already received 273 Form 34Bs from the various constituencies. And I think at an earlier statement that they made to the press, they actually identified those constituencies. Some of these forms are in their possession, but they require authentication and validation. And because the results that are contained after verification and tallying by the returning officers at the constituency are final and they cannot be changed, they wanted the returning officers to take accountability in regard to the authenticity of those forms. So they have required of some returning officers to come here to take responsibility of those forms that they have received. So I think that's an important thing to put into consideration because the Commission at the national level are saying that when it comes to accountability of the information that is contained in Form 34B, accountability rests with the returning officers at the constituencies because presidential elections are held at the constituencies. This was in response to our questions regarding how the information and tallying was being done, because the Constitution is clear that presidential elections are held at the constituencies, and both from 34A, the physical Form 34A, together with the scanned image which is transmitted to the returning officer at the constituency, is used for purposes of verification and tallying. And once that is done at the constituency, there is finality to that process. So they want the returning officers to take accountability. So we have some time to go. And those who are bringing unnecessary tension that the results are about it to be declared, we did not get that indication from the Commission. And secondly, as regards the Form 34A, they said they have not received all the forms. And they can only say that they have only received 29,000 forms out of the 40,883 forms that are supposed to come from the various polling stations. So about 25% of the forms are still out there in the field and have not reached the Commission. Thirdly, the Commission further made guarantees to look into the various issues that have been raised by our technical committee. Some of it which may be surprising, but coming from their own figures, from their own data. Our team here is using their own data, which is being made available to our technical team here, showing variance, and to some extent, this data has shown that in some polling stations, votes have been added to the Jubilee candidate and votes have been taken away from our candidate. And if this is looked at thoroughly and properly audited the results that have been displayed in this, on the monitors here and in the IEDC website may not be quite a reflection of what is contained in Form 34A and 34B. Quite apart from what we have from our tallying centers, we have decided to use their own data which is made available to us. And we have a 5-page document which has been delivered to the Commission to look at all those irregularities and very serious omissions or very serious malpractices that have emerged from the ground, as is evident from the material that we have been given. Finally, or last but not least, we have given an offer to the Commission and a challenge to the Commission that in order to bring this matter to an end, we should be given an access to their servers. And not just us, even Jubilee and other stakeholders, the religious leaders, the media, that we should be there, that we should look at their servers, which is retaining all the raw data that has come from the field. And more particularly, to be allowed to look at the hacking that took place, although the Commission has been talking from both sides of its mouth, because they said there was no hacking, and at one point they said there was an attempt, that we should look at audit and the activity which is emerging from the transactions from the 8th of August at from 12:30 noon, or more precisely 12:27 noon, after the morning of 9th of August, morning 2:30 a.m., the morning of 9th of August this year, that we should look at their servers to determine indeed whether such hacking took place. And we are quite sure that it did take place. But our note of finality is this, that if they can open those servers and we all look at it, we are prepared to accept the results of what is contained in those servers. Because the information we gave about who is winning and who is not winning was from those servers. And I think that's a challenge that we have also given to the diplomatic community and the religious leaders, to encourage the Commission to allow that to take place. This is in compliance with Section 44, subsection 4 of the Elections Act, that says that whatever technology the IEDC deploys in the elections must be, the objective must be to achieve verifiability, accountability, credibility, and transparency. And therefore it should not be a matter which should be hidden from the stakeholders and the country as a whole. And we also, as I'm being reminded by Honorable Miliodiambo, we have freedom of or right to information, which is guaranteed under the Constitution. Otherwise, as our boss here has said, we want the country to be calm, but the country will only be calm if things are done openly, and that justice is not only done, but seen to be done. And that is a major responsibility that rests on all our shoulders. So there should be no rush to judgment. We have some way to go. And the chairman has said that all these matters we have raised, they are going to come back to us. So we still have a process, and the matter may not be closed as quickly as some people think.
Did the chairman give his guarantee?
And lastly, before you ask questions, Our talent center at Runda has again been also attacked by the flying squad, and of course that is an attempt also to try and interfere with the evidence that we have in our possession. And I want Senator Mugamba to say a little bit about that raid of the talent center.
Let it down.
Well, we do not understand where the country is heading to under the leadership of Jubilee. The law is very clear, and the Court of Appeal gave a ruling that it is within the law for anybody, political parties, to set up their own talent centers. And within that law, we established several. And Jubilee sent their representatives. They've attacked the first one. And today the news we are getting from, actually through the electronic media, specifically to say KTN and TV, is that there was an attack. And going by that, what we are saying is that they are doing that to destroy the evidence that we have collected. That shows exactly that they have been involved in stealing the votes. And what we are trying to do is to make sure that there is no evidence given at any given time. But from what we have seen today, even with the information that have been provided by IEDC itself, our team here has given an overall of number of votes that has been stolen from NASA presidential candidate, which amounts to 1.5 million votes. That has been added into Jubilee's presidential candidate. So if you take that one out and subtract the 1.5 added to which is not there, you will find that Raila is leading close to 3 million votes. So if they are doing this to try and stop us from exposing the truth, what we have told the chairman of IEDC is that he has the key to make this country peaceful. And on the other side, he has another key that he can use under the intimidation of Jubilee and destroy this country. So the choice belongs to Chebukati and his team. And all what we are saying, including what the church leaders say, and diplomatic corps, members of diplomatic corps, is that no announcement should be made before the conclusion, one, of verifying Form 34A and 34B. And on top of that, we must have an access to the server. So that, as Senior Counsel Orengo said, we will be able to identify and get to know what happened between 12 noon on the 8th and 2:30 in the morning on the 9th. Kwa hivyo tunataka kusema tu kwa Kiswahili kwamba mambo haya yamekuwa mazito sana, na serikali ya Jubilee inafanya kila njama kugandamiza Wakenya. Na jambo tunataka kusema hapa kwa uwazi kabisa ni kwamba haitawezekana Wakenya wakubali kuona kwamba watu walioko ndani ya madaraka au juu ya madaraka wanaweza kutumia uwezo wa madaraka kuiba na kugandamiza na kujiweka katika madaraka. Hii jambo lazima ifikie kikomo, na ni sasa hatutaki kuwama tena. Kwa sababu mwaka 2007 ulikuwa wizi wa kura, Raila akasema Kenya kwanza. Mwaka 2013 kulikuwa na wizi wa kura, Raila akasema Kenya kwanza. Safari hii tunataka Uhuru aseme Kenya kwanza. Nawashukuru sana.
Question give a guarantee. Question give a guarantee that the results would not be announced until this entire process had happened.
That was the effect of his statement.
Did he give an actual guarantee?
Well, that was the effect of his statement.
All right.
I guarantee probably needs an instrument or something in writing. But
regarding the Form 34,
and we have no reason to doubt it.
Regarding the Forms 34, since you have your own copies of the Forms 34A, why not release them as they are also just copies of the results that were released at the polling station level to the public to make sure that this is as open as
No. That's partly why we want to have the Form 34A, the entire lot, is that we can carry verification. Their forms are against our forms. If their forms are valid and they are authenticated, then we don't have to do what you're telling us to do. But our forms are for purposes of verification. So they should surrender all the forms they have. Then we can complete that process of verification.
Do you have all forms 34 from across the country, from all 40,000 polling?
Well, I must say we have a substantial number.
But Senator, the IEBC chair has been saying that they are not going to declare results as appearing on the web portal. Instead, they are going to assess all forms, Form 34 based on the constituencies. And your agents have been here. They have been doing the review. And according to the commission, there are no discrepancies. Don't you trust this process? And number two, when you say that you want to access the servers, don't you think that's an abuse to the independence of the IEBC, given the name?
You're totally misguided. I think you should read the election law. The question about transparency is loud. Those are not just words that are put there for cosmetics. And Section 44, which talks about the technology to be used. That technology is used for the objective of ensuring transparency. And it does say that that process begins before the elections, during the elections, and even after the elections. We are required to do a systems audit to ensure that the systems are worked in accordance with what they are required under the law.
So do you have another 34 bills? That you have seen?
IEBC has said that they are going to declare this with 34 bills, which your agents have been reviewing. Don't you trust what they've been doing?
They don't have enough, and they don't trust even their returning officers until they take accountability. They have 273 forms. They could use that actually to announce the results.
They just said they have 28 now.
But they are saying they want the returning officers to take accountability, because some of them are not signed in a manner where they can say this is authentic or genuine.
On the question of discrepancy. On the question of discrepancy, I'm already asking. On the question of
another person ask. And there's a question here also.
Mtoka hapo video yenu ndio kwa kamera, tutakuona video mbaya.
No, the names are there. The polling stations were gazetted, and we came by in audit and process here. We came by polling stations which did not exist, and indeed in one of those polling stations where we discovered that the polling station does not exist, the number of votes cast was more than 1,000. So it was not just but even the votes coming from us well above them.
Yes,
we have a lady there.
Well, the physical forms are not here. They're not here. No, they're not here. My girl, you are a little bit ahead of time, because the commissioners themselves are saying they have 273, and they are not sure that they are valid. They want to authenticate. So,
which are those non-gazetted polling stations?
From Ibro TV. My question is: yesterday you made several queries to the IEBC, and of which it responded. It says that you are actually quoting figures that are high.
We can't hear you.
Huh? Yes. IEBC claims that you are quoting figures that are higher than the number of the registered voters. What is your query?
We clarified that actually. He answered that. Please, can I ask that one? This is the last one.
The form 34A and 34B that you have, which give you the result that Raila Odinga had 8.04 million votes. Have you reached an agreement concerning that issue?
Which issue? I'm not getting it.
IEBC yesterday told you to submit the form 34A and 34B that you have to to attack?
No, they have not done.
Madam kichwa yako
Why is it
chini.
that the only discrepancies that are coming out of this process are only coming from NASA? No other party has verified those
Which
discrepancies.
other part?
The other contestants in this election, and the other people who are also involved.
There are some contestants who are
Madam
just job
chini
seeking.
kichwa.
So at the end of the process,
Thank
they are gonna get
you.
jobs.
Thank you, Asanteni.
What has them from